passive, you lose lane, and you just go like, oh, well, we'll play around on one-item power spike. No! If you're JackeyLove and Mark in this game, you want to see them really pop off early. We might see a response to something like a Draven lane to really just match volatility with volatility. Doggo, I've played a couple of games of that in the past and played 2 games of it in this season as well. Might be on the table. Sejuani picked up for Ning, though.
Sejuani being picked up here for Ning, something he's very comfortable on. And I love this from Doggo. I love the fact that they're saying, you know what, you've taken away the Hery, you've taken away the Ziggs, we're going to have to go toe-to-toe here, so it's going to be a pretty explosive bot lane. You would imagine Lucian, Nami into the Draven, Nautilus.
It's going to be the Draven Nautilus. This is the lane that we've been seeing. This has been... Okay, I'm not going to say just the LPL and sixes. LPL plus Mickey on G2 in Europe. That's been their answer to this. Mickey kind of picking up some notes from our region, it would seem. And this has basically just been, we're fighting you level 1, and we will keep fighting you after this point. Now, when you're against something like the Moakai as well, Moakai can't influence bot lane that early. This is one of the reasons why Elise was really strong in the current meta as well, and it's just basically on the ban list permanently at this point. If you have a jungler that can impact bot lane at level 2 and level 3, particularly level 3 after you've done your full side clear, it is dangerous for bot lanes that are fighting all the time and are sat at like 100 HP. As long as you have a jungler which can get there, it's very important for these volatile bot lanes. So, real emphasis not just on these volatile bot lanes, but also Tian and Ning to make their presence known to see if they can flip that any further.
See what they can and cannot do. The Kassadin and the Akali taken away from Rookie. The Silas, and you could imagine the Ryze being taken away here by the side of Top Esports. We'll wait and see what they actually want to go for as of right now. But it is still pretty good setups for both teams. I think Ning specifically will be happy with the Sejuani going into the Moakai. Not going to be invaded anytime anyway early, so... or at least shouldn't expect to be. But the Jack's going to be the final ban here for Top Esports. So they're kind of saying, look, we're happy to kind of be able to get our counter pick, but we don't want to go into that Jack's matchup regardless of what we can pick.
I think what that allows QingTian to do is just, much like we saw in the previous series, have just a very stable lane on the top side while you focus towards this bot lane, where it does seem, even with just the first few picks locked in, that will be the focus. Now, Qing has played a lot of Syndra, but chooses to actually go towards the Ryze for the first time this split so far. So, Rookie looks down at that Ryze pick. Now, there's an awful lot of things you can click into that. We have seen a bit of the Jayce into the Ryze. Of course, Rookie plays just about everything, so I don't really want to like, pigeonhole him into any one pick here. Plenty of options. You have an AP jungler, so you can play an AD mid if you so wish. You can pick up the Syndra yourself at this point, buy a little bit more space for you in this team fight. Jayce is going to be locked in. Could be for either of these lanes, but QingTian looks like he's heading towards, again, what we were kind of theorizing about, something a bit more stable, something that will impact these team fights a little later on. Something like a Ksante would actually do very well at locking out something like a Draven from the fight, but there are plenty of disruptive top lanes to go towards, and it's actually, in fact, going to be this Ksante, which has defined the meta for this year so far.
Yeah, and with the Jack's banned away as well, very surprised to see Ultra Prime not maybe prioritize that for Hery a little bit more, but they wanted the Ryze. They knew they couldn't give that over to Rookie, something he is very prolific on, and they're going to be happy to kind of get that blind, or sorry, counter pick Gnar into the blind Ksante. And they're going to be able to pick up the level. So again, very kind of standard front-to-back team fights coming out here for both sides. But what I like is, and this is the big thing we talked about in our last series, that we didn't really see from the from either team, is that, yes, you have a Moakai, but you have other forms of engage outside of the Moakai. You have the Ksante, you have got, and even a follow-up with the Nami tidal wave. So there are things that can just kind of support the Moakai and make him just become that, again, secondary beast on the backside.
Yeah. And actually, I don't even mind it being primary engage in this game, because if you have a Lucian with culling, post that one item where you have the Imperial Mandate on the Nami as well, and you have the accelerated shock blast from the Jayce.
Going to be an uphill battle to say the least here for Ultra Prime, but not impossible. Stranger things have happened in the LPL. It is a magically wonderful league that has... I mean, absolutely. Fun fact, never watched a single episode.
I watched a bit. First couple.
Yeah, well, you're in it, so...
Now, you see here, I've been very nice to you today. I do not deserve this.
Anyway,
don't
we're
make me
jumping
bring up
on
the Penguin jokes.
The Penguin's dead and gone. I buried him years ago. But We are jumping onto the Rift. It is game 1 of this best of 3 top esports. The expected victor, but like I said, Ultra Prime definitely not without options. You can get this Draven and ahead if you can get this Ryze scaling. We have seen so far today how good this Ryze can be, but wait to see what they're able to kind of make happen. Because that's the big thing, is that when you get to the better teams like the JDGs, the top esports, the Wavos, it is more about, you know, how many opportunities are you given versus what even you're able to do with those opportunities.
Really love what Rookie just did here on the Rift. We're going out to the 3-lane view. We talked about how laning phase is very important when you have volatile lanes like this bot lane. But if you manage to get a hammer form Q on Jayce onto your lane opponent level 1, it allows you to do an awful lot more in the laning phase. You can't sit back in your cannon form and just expect to win out in this laning phase. You can see Ryze very happy to start like auto cancelling with his E auto, gives you a really good point and click damage level 1, especially into matchups like the Jayce, which can struggle a little bit. But Rookie playing out the early laning phase well. Yet to see anything in this bot lane though, which we have set up for an awful lot of fighting early on.
I mean, we are going to see Tian with his level 3 off of these Krugs, getting himself nicely set up for a potential gank. Could see no cleanse to make sure here on Doggo, so could see a little bit of a move there. We're pushed in, but it's a big wave. You don't want to really be fighting in that this early on, so I like the move there. Just kind of puts down a sapling to say, hey, look, you know, we'll show them that I'm around, or I may be around, but junglers might be in mid lane. Rookie is going to hit level 3. Ning is off to the side. They're going to see the junglers now just walking straight in on top of each other. And an Arctic Assault away by Ning as he does get caught out.
I really like what Tian did there, actually. It's very obvious that he was headed towards bot lane, but Baolan answering back. I love these early movements. This is really intriguing because you assume that bot lane is going to be the be-all and end-all of this early game. However, because Ultra Prime don't hook at level 1, they don't look to trade both members down to very low HP and just have both lanes stacked like 100 HP, Tian goes, okay, all right. You can collect the wave at tower, JackeyLove, that's fine. I'll go back towards this mid lane, where Rookie has been trading hard to instead of this bot lane, to get some priority there. Baolan thinks exactly the same thing. Both of them understand how the game has evolved because the bot lane hasn't hard traded, and it leads back into that series of events. No ganks actually happen, but the thought process behind it actually very fascinating to me. What we're looking for next, though, now is because you have Baolan potentially unlocked on the map a little bit more because of that lower trade in this bot lane, look to see how top esports are doing exactly what they're doing right now. Using this wave timing to hold the Nautilus to account to see if they can play around their own numbers on the map with the Nautilus locked on the tower in this early game.
It looked like Ning and Baolan just wanted to say hi to Rookie. Say, hey, look, we're still playing. It's been a good few years.
The last few years?
Yeah,
This
five years-ish. Yeah, well, 4, and then this will be the 5th as we get to the end of the war towards the World Championship.
1300 years.
Yeah, but they only exist in my. But again, you know, good so far from Ultra Prime to kind of answer a lot of what's coming out here from top esports. But again, it's the first of it's 5 minutes into the game. I don't want to get too over, you know, kind of excited for this.
In any other draft, absolutely. But in this kind of game where you have like a Draven versus Lucian Nami, it's worth bearing mentioning too. And it's a lot of what ifs, right? In terms of like, what if they had that hook at level 1? What actually if you hadn't roamed towards that mid lane? As Baolan or something like that, which allowed like a 2v2 to come through. Definitely something that you look back on as a VOD review as these teams and say, actually, you know, this was XYZ, this is how we could have maximized this. But looking at kind of like that tug of war between everyone unlocked on the map, this is very, very interesting. And actually having one of these roaming supports, which I know we talked about it the other day when we were on cast, in terms of having the Leona and the Nautilus back in, changes the way that supports have to move around the map. Baolan, once again, unlocked from the map, seeing what he can do. But Rookie is wise to it. Again, it's the next level, understanding that this engaged support, while you haven't seen as many of them in the recent meta, they're on the map, you have to be aware of them. This is a very different early game to what we've seen mostly on 13.1.
Nice little ward spots out Qing's move, but speaking of being spotted out, first blood goes over to Ning as Hery sets him up nicely underneath the enemy turret.
And in the battle of former IG members, Ning is the first one to make a mark on this game against QingTian up in that top side. Gets the level 6 to level 5 under that tower, and this has been such a different early game in terms of the way that these jungle supports have been moving around the map. Is QingTian who's kind of caught in that gap in the net, has managed to find his way into safe harbor. The top though, How are they going to fire back on this? Moakai heading back towards the spot side of the map, maybe trying to shield his bot lane from a hook coming in. And we really haven't seen any fighting in this 2v2. I think that has been a really big factor of this, because Baolan has decided, actually, it's not about the 2v2 this game. Let's see how I can get out across that map. Does mean that potential bot side focus has not really been the case for this game.
Not been the case for the moment. But with the priority bot lane now has, I was going to see if TM was going to start off maybe that dragon. Nice little early infernal dragon. There's nice little stats to scale later on in the game, but not to be. Wants to see if he can get his mid laner a little bit of a reset first. We kind of come back into this one here, and it's a lot more tempered, I think, from the quote-unquote traditional style of the top esports branding. You know, for years they were the all hands on deck, going ham at all times. But since they've made a couple of different changes, since they've moved some pieces around, they've definitely become a lot more controlled, a lot more set up to, control the tempo, to build up from wherever they can, and then look for a big, massive haymaker of a punch. But Mark might be in a little bit of trouble. Oh, just about dodges the Arctic Assault.
Oh, stop smash.
Oh my lord, I did not know that's how that worked. And they see that as flood in the water. They go fishing. They found themselves a support. Qing picks up a kill. Ultra Prime, they're revving up right now. It's going to be top esports. They're going to have to try and find a counterplay.
Yeah, anyone who's played, of course, this is a big thing last season. If you ever played mini Gnar into Sejuani, you know that your hop can get interrupted by the Sejuani E. It's got a tiny bit of a knock-up in it in its animation as well, which means you can cancel something like a blast plan. And top esports, they are getting caught a little bit flat-footed in this game. You see, which we have come to expect so many great things about, are falling a little bit flat against the 1-3 Ultra Prime in this battle of ex-teammates across the rift. This ning finding some of the other members on this team out from that and just gets on top of Mark. But everyone is ready to fall off on this Baolan, and Qing getting right into the fray. Sadly not able to get a shutdown, a cash-in for Doggo on that Draven, but more than enough to get that second kill down. And looking towards this Herald now. I think that top esports should be able to play around this. They have Moakai on that objective already, but Ultra Prime really hitting hard early.
Yeah, Ultra Prime coming out swinging right now. Yes, they will lose the Rift Herald, but they are more than happy to give that one up, considering they are now up about 1,000 gold. And it's going to be top esports to really make a play here. You see JackeyLove getting a little impatient, see if he can get some damage down with the culling, but Baolan in position. And like you mentioned a little bit earlier, Doggo still stacking up with this Draven, still getting that adoration going for himself. And something we always kind of forget is that execute damage that comes out for the Draven. Hery probably should have finished that recall, if I'm being totally honest, as there are 4 members of top esports now up in this top side. I do think he maybe has an inkling that's going to be happening. They are zooming in here. Yeah, he's just gonna zoom himself out there.
It's just like everyone be very quiet. It's like, you know that moment in Jurassic Park, like, don't move a muscle. Sat there and stares down Tyrannosaurus JackeyLove. Which is kind of weird, because the prehistoric skin is the Gnar one. But hey, we'll workshop it. We'll workshop it.
I love how I was gonna say, I love how your brain went to Jurassic Park. My brain went to Elmer Fudd. I was just like, Looney Tunes.
I'm like, which one's more dramatic at this point? Gonna be the wave clear roll from Draven. So, this is something which is really interesting. So last year, I was casting over in the NLC, one of the ERLs in Europe, and Jack, one of the coaches over there, because one of the games that they lost, even being an under-tier team, was to a Draven. And the reason they lost to Draven is because they made a cross-map play like this, and Draven gets a shutdown. Whenever you're grouping up on one side of the map, you need to be very careful about how Draven factors into this. Top East was looking to overload one side of the map for the top side. What can they get out of it?
What can they get out of it is the big question. They used the Moakai ultimate. It was responded by the Sejuani ultimate. Doggo is playing PvE. He is soaking up so much of this for free right now. Ning, don't know if you want to be there, my friend. He's going to try and get himself away. Oh, nice knockback after the flash. Ning in a lot of trouble. Cannot Arctic Assault away. The tower in bot lane does go down. Ning will fall. Just about, but now they might be able to trade it back for Tian. That's jungler for jungler. This is still good for Ultra Prime. QingTian not here to try and help him. QingTian trying to go all out here on top of the Realm Warp. Not quite able to take it out. And while that's been happening, we can now see a Gnar Hery coming in. A tidal wave is there. JackeyLove finally jumps in. QingTian says, nice for you to join the party, my friend. And they do pick up 2 more kills. So it's 3 for 3 on the scoreboard. 1,900 or 90,000 apiece in the gold. And everything's starting to get a little bit testy for top esports.
Yeah, but you know we were just talking about cross-mapping with the Draven. The reason that works is because Draven gets to overload one side and forces cash-in to happen. Ultra Prime commit to that fight without the Draven. They don't have their ultimate as well. He has an awful lot of gold to commit to this play, and this is a really big overstep for him. Ning has affected most of this game. He's actually had a pretty solid run of things in this early game. Aftershock gives him a bit of time to survive with this, but you don't have the Draven at this play. Even though the Lucian is also not a part of this, the Draven not being here is a huge, huge factor, and Ultra Prime completely overestimate their damage and their longevity in this play.
And as well as that, you know, looking into this one here, it is top esports playing to the side of the map that they have their AD carry. Yes, you know, both AD carries are taking the turrets at that time, but it was JackeyLove on the top side while the top lane play was being happened. So I will say Doggo does get a fair bit of gold, regardless of what's happened on the top side, and does have an Eclipse now built up for himself and plenty to cash out. But you got to be able to cash it out. That's the big difference. That's a lot. I can't remember the exact conversion to it, but I think that's nearly 1,000 golds coming out of that, or just underneath it. I think it's about 800.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. If he gets a kill, it's going to be a lot.
No. I think the execute itself is on the stacks which you have. I think that's 1-to-1 on the execute there, but don't quote me on that. I haven't played Draven in an awful long time. I'm very bad at the champion. Doggo, much better in his own right, but he's sat there at not great amount of HP. Dragon spawning in 10 seconds. Ultra Prime did, of course, have control over that bot side in that last kind of split match. What ends up with that one?
Doggo keeping his hand over his heel, but not using it right now. First Dragon went over to Ultra Prime, and with that big burst of damage coming out, it will take a while for Doggo to clear up these minions and get himself up to a healthy manner. While that's been happening, Rookie! Ooh, he's thinking about it. Now Doggo cannot come into this fight.
That is how you win yourself a dragon fight. Doggo can't fight anymore. Just use that ultimate as well, so even if he recalls and fires it off from base, absolutely no way to impact this game. And it does really feel like, through a combined effort of Ultra Prime playing away from Doggo, top esports poking him out, the Draven has just not had a chance to impact this game. Goes back and buys some plated steel caps, the Ninja Tabi, armored boots to just say, I don't really want to get poked out like that again, either by JackeyLove or by Rookie. And we're on to another Chem Tech Rift. No 2 early dragons, so we're not likely to get the early soul. Last play just does fall down to Qing just before they time out, but these upgraded blast pads, really important when you have engaged supports, by the way. We just saw it from Ning there. When you have engaged from your jungle and your support, so you have to blast code over a wall into a lane to be able to like flash ult someone. Very, very important for this. It gives you an extra level of volatility to pay attention to. Baolan though, what out in the middle of nowhere, lots of combos be thrown at him.
Yeah, he will not get over the wall, so JackeyLove says thank you very much, that's a kill over to me, and this is where the cracks start to show. This is where you start to see why top esports are so feared. It was a great early game from Ultra Prime. 1 dragon apiece, only a couple of 100 gold behind. Actually, before that kill, they were dead even on gold. You take that as an absolute win. However, it's those little oversteps that will crucify you against a team like top esports.
Yeah, this is a team which we view in very high regard. Was a good first few minutes from Ultra Prime. Really managed to capitalize on that. Haven't really managed to get Doggo into the game, and that's in which Ultra Prime desperately need. Doggo has been so far by far their best player. Ning had a decent early game so far, put his name on the table to be one of the biggest factors in this early game. Herald is started up, and honestly, I feel like top can just play to, again, continually deny this Draven. They're not going to fight him at this objective. They already have that dragon in pocket, that last objective, and I think as long as they can stop Doggo from getting on the board and him having a really big impact on this game, I think they're pretty happy with proceedings for now.
For now, they are happy to let this one go. Also, I looked it up. The stacks is 40 gold plus the adoration stacks times 2.5. So he's at 400, which means he's looking at about 1,000 now.
Be over 1,000. Well, if he's going to get a chance, and if he has to survive first,
does have to survive. They do get the creepy cat caterpillars moving towards them, and a lot of damage there from Demonic Embrace, but not going to lead to a kill just yet. Top Esports just trying to see if they can maybe bait in Ultra Prime into an unfair fight, get those stacks out of that Draven's hands, and the longer this game goes on, again, remember, it's still got the execute damage, so you've got to be very aware. That's 400 extra damage on the Whirling Death. So little by little, he will eventually get to a boiling point where he'll either lose them or he'll cash them in.
Yeah, really have to look for when Lucian and Nami are just kind of rounding a corner, see if they can jump on him with that culling combo. Either way, this game does become so much about Doggo versus the world versus Top Esports. If Doggo ain't there, Ultra Prime are not winning fights. You have to think they have a Herald in inventory. Maybe they can give a little bit of extra over to Doggo, putting it up here. I'm actually not sure Doggo's going to be in position to go up and walk up to this tower. I don't think Doggo's going to be able to get any of this gold in this fashion.
Probably not, but we'll see if they want to try and maybe hard force something, but they will lose the Mega right now. So most of the tower damage going down. I still think it's fairly worth for a second Herald, considering that the tower was basically full health before that. So should be one decent push away from picking that one up for themselves. But now they're trying to just use this vision advantage they've garnered to maybe catch someone out on a bit of a lazy rotation.
Yeah, so the Herald's still good to get a chunk off this mid lane. Ultra Prime are not in a position to overforce the mid. Look at these wards, blue wards either side of the mid lane. QingTian has a teleport. Very much look towards a flank engagement or something and like hunt someone back into the team with that all-out ultimate with the displacement it brings. But at least in this case, you do manage to get some damage on that mid lane out of tower as we go back to this side lane. Could also be a case of one of these teams getting a advantage in a side lane, then coming back to the mid lane after forcing someone to respond to one of those side lanes. As you see QingTian pushes out top, heads back to this mid lane. That's another way to kind of deal with this split map setup, and that's what we're really going to have to watch about now. I think this is going to come down to a bit more of our macro, a bit more of seeing where the numbers are across the map. Doggo goes back to base, buys a couple of components looking towards what could potentially be a collector as a second item. And we're going back into this split map state. Top Esports heading towards the spot side. They don't have a realm warp to impact affairs though. They're going towards that back line. Whoa, it's fast!
JackeyLove going straight in. Doggo, though, just cold as steel right there. Not using his heal, not using his flash, just taking it all in. And the Moakai ultimate coming over, he needs to be a little bit more careful. He'll get caught up with it, and he gets taken out, and all out by QingTian. But now QingTian's isolated. He needs to be so careful. Tidal Wave comes out to try and keep JackeyLove alive as Baolan goes down. Tian now jumping onto Hery, who wasn't in Mega. They want to try and get Doggo going, but they just can't.
That is a really thread the needle play from top. Rookie walking forward, how much can he do?
Rookie knows exactly the limitations of his champion, having those Merc Treads, and of course the Eclipse gives him plenty of defensive ability. Going to be Dragon secured here for Top Esports, and that gold starting to eke a little forward and try to get a bit bigger every single time we see a fight.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what, that is a risky play. It starts off with the Lucian Nami combo coming out of vision. We kind of expect that. But on picking up those axes, Doggo puts himself in a position to get hit by the Moakai. Isn't body blocked for by ning on the Sejuani. We kind of saw what happened towards that top side of the fight though. On the bottom side, Lucian has a much easier time of getting involved with all of these players. Double kill and a huge chunk. JackeyLove really finding his way into this game in a way that Doggo has really struggled to. Top Esports walk away with a risky play, but one that works out.
Back into live. Collector picked up there for Doggo, but plenty of summoners burned, and you can see just how difficult it is for Ultra Prime to find anything. You've got the Ksante just being an absolute nuisance at the backside. Not only just a nuisance, but also a threat. You cannot leave him go unchecked if he gets onto the backside with the all-out. So you have to deal with him. You've got the Moakai from one side. You've got the rookie Jayce Shock Blast from another. There's just too many opportunities for Top Esports that they're just left with, you know, basically Ultra Prime kind of saying, look, we can't plug all these holes.
Yeah, for sure. Particularly when it does feel like you need to be so wary of that one item Lucian Nami power spike. This is something which I've criticized a lot of teams for, not being able to use the Lucian Nami when they hit those items. But credit to Top Esports, really finding ways to get JackeyLove involved and make the most of this. And now you're looking at Ultra Prime. They have to play a little bit scared. They have to play at their own jungle. It's being a little bit difficult for them. They not being able to push out these side lanes even. A threat of a Moakai flying in across the corner, of course. Again, that AD carry comes jumping at them time after time. And even in moments like this, you see that Doggo and Baolan, they can't walk further forward than that. As soon as they're looking to safely get onto a wave, and that's about it. It's very difficult for them to arrange themselves for these big plays. Top Esports holding them over the fence.
It does feel like UltraPrime came in with a fairly decent game plan the first 20 minutes of the game, and so far so good. Again, they are still 3,500 gold down. Actually, gold just continuing to be getting bigger and bigger. But they aren't a million miles away. One good Draven kill could change the dynamic of this entire game. It all comes down to how you're able to play into it. You are hitting, level 14s, level 13s as such for the side of Top Esports. They're going to be going towards pretty much critical mass in terms of the damage they have. Get the tower off this. They're going to even put down Tidal Wave. There's going to be a little bit of a deterrent there with the Whirling Death, but it's just too easy for the side of Top Esports to walk in as a 5. They're not losing that much on the top side because I don't even think Qing gets this tower.
Don't think he gets it, because if he stays long enough to get there, he gets collapsed on. He's going to have to realm warp out. He does have the second rank of it.
They're covering him.
They're covering him. I wonder if Rookie gets to solve this one. He sees it.
Yeah, Rookie knows. And, oh! That was kind of clean, not going to lie. That was kind of clean.
Because the only way you cancel that is with the Jayce Hammer Form E. So if he gets hit by that, he knows he's not going to get out of there alive. But flashes back into his ultimate. Flash for flash. Qing getting away with a risky play. Does get away with it nonetheless. Doggo at his second item completion. Second item's coming in for most people across the board on Top Esports. The gold advantage, meaning that not everyone in UltraPrime has reached that themselves. In UltraPrime, they are really playing scared. They have to. They have to. Top Esports has walked around with so much threat around the rift, but it is going to lead to them bleeding out in terms of jungle camps, in terms of these objectives. We have another dragon coming up in a minute, which would be sole point for Top Esports. And because UltraPrime can't even contest vision, can't even contest where these saplings are being put down, you can see the difference in where these AD carries can stand in this mid lane. UltraPrime are going to really struggle to fight around objectives because they can't walk up like this.
No, they really can't, and there's just so much damage from JackeyLove on his old support. Baolan is not really feeling the love right now, but you can see that Top Esports, they want to try and end this game pretty damn soon. They are putting in some serious work right now and just having pressure in all the lanes, knowing that their strong man 5 is just going to be better than the 4 of UltraPrime, because you've got Ryze on the side. Like, yes, you have a teleport, but like, where's he going to go? He hasn't got his second item yet. He's not got that much tankiness. And Hery is being melted.
Yeah, he's got Triforce, Black Cleaver, lots of ability to run people down in minion arc, maybe burst someone out with a good enough Mega Gnar as well, but UltraPrime, they have committed to this Ryze to Flip push. I don't know how much value this is going to have. See Rookie on that side lane, he's going to find an all in. No, he's not, but I really feel like this is a big extension of UltraPrime not able to get Doggo involved in the game. If you had the earlier shutdown, things would have been so different. Once again, Doggo playing with fire, even worth walking up to the ruins of his own outer turret in that mid lane. And Top Esports, as long as they keep walking around as this 5-man unit, they have complete control of where they want to play.
Oh, that blast cone extended the range, and pretty nicely there from Baolan to get himself out and away. Like I said, I want to try and make like a quick point right now before we get any kind of real fight. I don't think we're going to see one around this dragon, but not only have Top Esports been able to get a kill, or sorry, get a lead, they haven't been getting any extra kills or any extra turrets really and stuff like that, but they've been growing their lead steadily. It was 2,500, then it was 3,000, now it's 3,500. Little by little, bit by bit, as the game has gone on, they have found themselves getting further and further ahead. That is when you start to get a little bit more worried for the side of UltraPrime, because passively, you're still losing. Look at the farm on Rookie. Look at the farm on JackeyLove. Yeah, it's just insane, but Doggo, with these 600 stacks, needs to find something. There's going to be a massive payout of about 1,500 if he can find it.
Can't find it. This one, Baolan cancelled.
Oh, Baolan gets caught, and Baolan almost died. Hery almost died, I should say. Baolan will fall to the wayside, and now Top Esports knowing there's no Mega Gnar to deal with, there's no support for vision. This is going to be a pretty easy Baron unless Ning can find the steal.
Overwhelming pressure. do have the Nami ult coming back up in terms of disruption. You have a teleport back onto the map by Hery, but he is not mega enough. Doggo has ult and flash. What can you do with it?
Oh, JackeyLove goes forward. JackeyLove looking for damage. Whirling Death does not catch on the second half of that, so he does not take anybody down. Qing will fall. And Top Esports beautifully making this dance look like they've been doing it professionally for years.
Well, they have been, all 5 of them. They've been at the top levels of play. So many of these rosters, members of this roster doing so well. Ning is still around the corner, still has flash, still in chance for a steal. QingTian, like bodyguard, has his ultimate to take Sejuani out of the picture to happen. At least they'll try and get themselves a dragon. Stop their soul point coming through, but it is a consolation prize and a fairly paltry one at that. Just trying to go up and get into the vision, so difficult. Rob's trying to do, yeah, the cancel comes out on the Baolan. Again, it's so difficult for Ultron to get into a position where they can actually fight at this point. They don't have the goal to brute force these fights. They are playing from behind, and this slow bleed, this death by 1,000 plus from Top Esports, very, very well played by them to kind of keep control of things. As you were saying in the past, Top Esports, particularly, you know, the 2020 roster was a one which would just fight all the time, be crazy, a bit of the mojo, as Munchables would put it. But this one has a bit more control. Yes, they still have some of those crazy pieces. You still got some of these players which love to play completely off the leash. Even if you change some of those players, the new ones coming in have plenty of ability to skirmish as well. No surprise, they have been caught in a position where they didn't get their snowball around this Draven going off early, despite some of their early moves by Baolan and Ning to put things into question. And now see the damage which Rookie has got to hold them back even further. So difficult to Ultra to fight their way back into this.
7,000 gold lead, and it's only getting bigger and badder. It's getting to a point now where I don't even think a Doggo crash out really changes the dynamic of this game. It would help, for sure, on the side of Ultra Prime, but it doesn't really change within. You're already at 3 and 2 half items, I suppose, for JackeyLove, which means that he's going to burst you down regardless. You're not able to snowball this one away. It will help, but it's not going to be game-changing. And I think, like you mentioned, it's just the fact that Ultra Prime have had no opportunity to get Doggo involved in this game.
Yeah, and the follow-on of that has been actually, you are going to get the shutdown and an inopportune fight. The ultimate comes out of Baolan, it's achieved nothing again.
It's achieved nothing. That tidal wave will achieve everything. The difference in support ultimate is huge. Ning is a very, very low boy, and that shock blast is doing so much. Doggo, the only real healthy one here. Hery is very, very mini and very, very vulnerable as he tries to defend that mid lane turret little by little, bit by bit. This is what we talked about earlier as well. Top Esports are not the kind of team that are just going to let you, even if you let them sit back and you're not really losing that many. Remember, it's only 5 kills in the difference, but they are just not going to give you many opportunities. They're not going to allow you back into this game, and they're going to try and suffocate you out. This is a slow, methodical setup here by the side of Top Esports as they just keep whittling Ultra Prime down.
This is an absolute masterclass from Top Esports about how you use Lucian, Nami, and something like this Jayce to try and poke people out, but they're trying to be caught.
They find Rookie, but can they kill him? I don't think they can! They don't have the damage. Finally, he goes down, but at what cost? Doggo again, not able to be a part of the fight, and it's still a 2-for-1 in favor of Top.
It is, and again, it's such a masterclass of Top saying, we can poke you from a distance, we can weave in the skill shots, the long-range poke, and if you ever engage on us, you're going to get punished for it. Once again, Doggo held to account, zoned out in the fight, Ultima's coming in once again, trying to end the game.
Yeah, they're going to try to end the game. It's still 0-0-0 for Doggo. There's Nexus turret number 1 going down. You can see him. They're trying to make something work. Baolan falls to QingTian. Doggo will finally be brought into the game as he tries to make something work. They're going to look for the execute on the QingTian, but they can't get him. Qing cannot get the game. Are we going to see a Draven end with a 0-0-0 scoreline? JackeyLove says, no! I shall kill you both! As they finally take down the Nexus. More and more kills coming over. JackeyLove with a triple. JackeyLove looking for the quadruple, but before he could, the Nexus is fell.
It was if a million stacks all cried out at once and was suddenly silenced. 0, 1, and 0. I cannot stress how impressed I am by Top.